Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, the latest entry in the Resident Evil franchise, and a total reboot of the Resident Evil movies. I gotta say, this movie was way better than I was led to believe.
Well, this movie is going to be very, very divisive for the simple reason that it's actually a pretty good movie.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's a lot of fun. It's goofy and kind of dumb.
Oh yeah, it's a video game movie.
But unlike the original Resident Evil movies, it's goofy and dumb in kind of the way the games are.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels like an actual movie that was made by people who actually played those games.
Yeah, definitely. Although I'll say one thing, up until the very end, man, they do Leon the Dirty.
Oh, God.
Holy shit.
I mean, he was a rookie in 2, but man, they made him really a rookie in this.
Yeah, he barely knows how to load a gun in this movie. You know, you're just like, whoa. I mean, I get that he's supposed to be a rookie, but I feel like that's a little much.
I'll say that about the movie. Some of the characterizations are a little off if you've played the games. Some of the characters are kind of their characters, but not really.
Yeah.
But it's close enough to where they feel like an adaptation of that character.
Yeah, they don't feel like they're just completely wrong.
Yeah, they're not like the other Resident Evil movies where all the characters are wrong and all the characters just feel like they're characterless and have no personalities or interactions.
Yeah, they don't have characters, they have costumes.
Exactly. In this movie, they're actual characters, they have actual personalities, they have actual interactions with one another and goals and wants and needs.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're 100% the character from the game honestly stopped mattering for me as the movie went on. Because
because as the movie goes on, you're like, okay, the plot of this movie is basically the first Resident Evil game and the first half of the second one. That's what the plot of this is. Basically, while Stars Bravo team is off at the mansion, which I was actually really surprised. They actually narratively justified why there's this weird ass mansion. Out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And you're just like, oh,
they did a good job.
You did a good job with that. Yeah.
They did a good job justifying a lot of shit.
That, a lot of stupid Resident Evil crap.
That you just kind of take for granted when you first play the games.
Well, yeah, because you just sort of okay, no, this is the fight on the train sequence,
Though, to be fair, some of the justifications they put in this movie are justifications that were added in the Resident Evil 1 and 2 remakes that were done recently.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised at that because I hadn't played the remake.
Yeah.
And so when that one character shows up, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And why are they... I don't remember this. I played those games of hell, and you were like, that character's in the remake. It's like, okay, that's why they feel like they're a character from the latter half of the Resident Evil franchise as opposed to the beginning.
Yeah.
Well,
the remakes kind of make the whole series feel more cohesive because they get to add stuff that they added later, and it's
apparently that remake really bridges the gap between old Resident Evil and Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, it does.
And I was like, oh, well, okay then.
I still think that if you want to download those and stream them, I think people will watch. It'll be playing them.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You'll have an idea of how to solve most of the puzzles and stuff, but there's enough new stuff that
I was actually kind of glad that they kept some of the really dumb Resident Evil tropes.
Yes,
the keys.
Yeah,
keys are a big thing in the movie.
There's a lot about keys. There's certain moments where characters have to solve puzzles that are reminiscent of puzzles that were in the game.
Yeah, but they're not they're not like when they did it in the Silent Hill movies where it feels completely out of place, because it really is one of those. Yeah, let's save these dumb puzzles for the things that people would actually want to have in.
There's one character who's basically walking around with cheat codes.
Oh yeah.
That solves some of the puzzles for him, and you're just like, oh hey, that guy's got the Game Shark.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I thought, and they did a good job of choosing that character too.
Oh yeah.
Because Wesker.
Yeah.
Wesker's the guy cheating.
Wesker's the one that feels them. Okay. This may be partially because I'm influenced by the way Wesker's presented in the later games, but Wesker feels like a completely different character.
Well, yeah, he's not just a sleazeball.
But by the end of it, I started to buy him in the role. You know?
Yeah. He becomes the Wesker that we eventually see in like Code Veronica.
I love that actor though. He's played by the dude who plays the eldest brother in Umbrella Academy and Billy Bones on Black Sails.
Yeah.
And he plays Wesker, which I think that's the other thing that feels weird is that like even though Wesker is kind of designed in a way where he's kind of buff, I never really thought of him as a meathead.
Well, not like no, because you always thought of like Barry as being the biggest dude. Yeah. You know, Wesker is like, yeah, sure, he's like cut and he, looks got those classic American good looks. So I never thought of him as a giant.
So having him played by the really big guy who's like playing kind of like pranks on his like coworkers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like makes him feel a little fratty.
Yeah, it does. Like there was definitely a moment where like I was kind of watching it and I was like, I feel like this main character should have been playing Barry.
Oh yeah, there's a couple characters where I'm like, I feel like this actor should have been playing that role and that actor should have been playing this role. But you know what? I'm liking this movie enough to where I'm going to roll with it.
It's close enough to the original, to the Resident Evil actual canon storyline that you feel like you are watching the movie.
Because it's an actual adaptation of Resident Evil and not whatever the hell those Paul Anderson films were.
Yeah. Well, like, even when they start getting into the difference between the T virus and the G virus, the fucking movie kind of basically explains it to you.
Yeah.
It basically explains what the difference is. It's like, what's the T virus? The T virus is slow. It creates all of the normal zombies and anything that's weird. Mm-hmm. That's the G virus.
Yep, sounds about right.
Where I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I thought from the games, but it was like kind of important that they spell that out because at one point it does become an important difference. They also explain why none of the main characters get turned into zombies when they're bitten.
Oh yeah, they do explain that.
Yeah, which I was like, okay.
I didn't need the explanation, but okay.
Yeah, no, it was just a little extra.
I'll roll with it.
Yeah, the movie was a lot of fun.
It was really good. Fun is the optimal word because it's not like it's a movie without flaws. Like I have criticisms. Like this is one of those movies where it's 90% exposition most of the time.
Oh yeah.
Like they can't have an interaction with two people that isn't them expositing on something that's happening, and you're like,
yeah.
With the single exception being a scene early on where you get Claire and her brother talking with one another. That's one of the few scenes where it's like an actual like character interaction and not just expository dialogue.
Yeah.
My other criticism is that because it's trying to smash two games together and because it's trying to basically speed run through two fucking Resident Evil storylines, some things I don't think are as developed as they could have been.
That I think is fair. Yeah.
Like there's a scientist who's kind of the main antagonist in this movie, and he and Chris Redfield have like a father-son kind of dynamic with them. But the problem is you don't actually see the two of them together until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, they're basically what they do, if you're familiar with Resident Evil, is they take the villain from Resident Evil 2 and he's the closest thing that we have to a primary antagonist.
Yeah. And the problem is that none of the emotional beats with them towards the end, where it's like, oh, you raised me, this is everything, how could you betray me? Like all that stuff doesn't really hit because you've never actually seen these two characters together. Yeah. Like you've never actually seen their relationship and how it was
pre-outbreak.
Yeah.
And so you're just sort of like, well, I mean, yeah, kind of by default, but here's the thing. It's not so bad that you care.
No.
It's just sort of like, all right, that
it just means an emotional moment that you, like a great example of this is like, sometimes emotional moments hit in movies, but they don't actually hit you, but it doesn't bother you. Like the movie still works.
Yeah.
But like a great example, I love Thor Ragnarok, but I feel nothing when Odin dies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting that's the movie he dies in.
Yeah, I feel nothing when Odin dies in Thor Ragnarok, but Thor Ragnarok overall still works for me.
Yeah.
And that movie actually does develop the relationship between his sons and Odin over the course of the movies. But I feel nothing in that movie because I just never really, that dynamic never really hit anything for me.
Yeah, because like the big moment of that scene isn't Odin dying, it's fucking Hell grabbing fucking Maldir and breaking, going like, fuck this, now it's time to conquer fucking everything.
So the fact that I wasn't really hitting a lot of the emotional beats towards the end of the movie, in particular between those two characters, and some of the other characters, but mainly those two characters, didn't really bother me because I was still able to enjoy the zombie action ride that I was on.
Yeah, there's a lot of, oh god, I forget what you call this kind of action, but there is a lot of, like, there are a lot of, like, Keystone Cop moments.
Yeah.
Where it's not that characters are stupid, unless you're Leon in this movie.
Leon's less stupid and more incompetent.
Yeah, he's just...
Okay, yes, there is one moment where he's really stupid. In the jail cell.
Yes. He's like, oh, come on, man. Like... gotta be kidding me. You know, so if you like the character of Leon, bear in mind he is nothing like the character in the game until the very end.
I'll say this, I'm a little biased towards like how they treated Leon in this, because Leon's my favorite of the Resident Evil protagonists, mainly because Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
And to be fair to the movie, he isn't the badass he is in Resident Evil 4.
No, he is
not. In Resident Evil 2.
No, he's not. But he's also not like an idiot.
No.
You know? Like, Leon is an idiot.
I look forward to sequels to this movie if they make sequels in which we get to see that Leon become the Leon in Resident
that'd be
Evil
okay.
4.
I would buy that.
I could roll with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh geez. Like if you love yourself some like Easter eggs, movies got it.
This movie has like probably the most Easter eggs per scene I've seen in a movie this year, and that's saying a lot because I saw Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, my favorite Resident Evil piece of writing, is in this movie, which is just the phrase "itchy, tasty."
They have that Easter egg.
Yeah, that one's in there.
There's references and lines to funny lines from the original game, like Jill Sandwich is referenced.
Yeah.
They painstakingly and beautifully recreate the mansion and the
precinct station. Yeah. And it is like a stupidly big, elaborate precinct station where you're just sort of like, what?
It's just as dumb as it is in the game, and I love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also, the introduction of the first, like, kind of bona fide zombie, when it when the truck crashes into the precinct station.
Okay, that's another thing. This movie has a great sense of humor.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, music cues that are hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like,
its use of ironic music is really well done.
Yeah. Like, it uses a lot of music that was... it uses a lot of Journey, which I enjoyed. The other thing it uses is a lot of music that came out during the period of time that the movie is set. Because the movie is set in the late 90s.
Which is a nice reference to the original game. I think it's 98, which is when I think the original game came out. So,
yeah, and it was... yeah, it was a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun. It's not a deep picture. This is like the perfect intersection of live action, dumb video game movie.
Yeah.
But done with a lot of care and a lot of love.
This is also not a movie that's made to be high art. This is a movie made for fans of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And you could feel it.
Yeah, and it does a way better job of bringing you into the world than like the Warcraft movie did.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I love the Warcraft movie, but the Warcraft movie felt like another piece of Warcraft lore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It felt like a lore. It felt like a 2-hour cutscene.
I'm still sad we're not getting sequels to that though, but that's another story.
Yeah. But like. Yeah, but this one, I was actually really amazed. And I meant what I said when I say, like, this movie's going to be very divisive because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I got the impression from people online that it was just awful. So I went in expecting complete dog shit. And
me too.
I came out pleasantly surprised. I'm like, okay, it wasn't high art. It's not going to win any Oscars, nor should it.
Yeah.
But it is a fun movie. It gave me kind of what I wanted in terms of like an actual adaptation of the Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I felt like this is what the first Resident Evil movie should have just been.
Absolutely. And even though like it does a couple like changes and condensing things, like they didn't bother me because like that happens when you adapt anything, right?
Right,
you know, like,
right. It wasn't as egregious as the references aren't as egregious as the ones done in the Silent Hill films.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like those ones were really badly done. Even when they were well done, they were badly done.
There was a moment where I thought Silent Hill was going to invade this movie.
Oh yeah, because of that siren. Like, that is another thing about the movie is it does in the beginning in particular feel a little bit like Raccoon City's getting invaded by Silent Hill.
I will say this, I did feel like Raccoon City came across as more of a small town than I remember it being in the games. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I always remember Raccoon City being like a full-on city, and in this it's more like a small town, like rural city, which it was always in a rural area.
Yeah,
but like I always got the impression that Raccoon City had like tall buildings and shit.
Well, you felt like Raccoon City was at least as developed as like Silent Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whereas in this one you're just sort of like, damn, like you guys, which makes the the houses here suck.
Hey, little buddy, what's up with you? You just come here to meow at us?
Hey, he is.
Hey, do you want up here?
You okay?
You want to come up here? You want to say hi to the people out in the world?
Resident Kitty?
Nah, he's running away.
No. Okay.
All right, we're going to continue our vlog. You can keep meowing if you want.
Yeah.
I did like that the movie... I like that despite it being a fun popcorn movie, it still had some nice social commentary on the way these big corporations treat small towns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you've, like, ever visited, like, Harlan or some of the areas, and even just some of the areas in, like, fucking upstate New York where GE used to be. And what has happened to those places since those companies pulled up stakes.
There was, like, I think it was a John Oliver episode recently on the people that make the non-stick stuff on pans. The non-stick, whatever,
like Teflon?
Teflon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like towns that are within the vicinities of like the factories that make those things, the Teflon gets into the water supplies.
Oh, yeah.
And people start like developing like really bad cancerous like fucking like things.
Yeah.
So when this movie was talking about like they've been poisoning us in the water.
Yeah.
Like the virus has gotten into the water supply. I kept thinking about like that John Oliver episode and going this is actually real.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure that was the idea.
This is like a real thing.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where like they were like, hey, maybe we should figure out you know, how to deal with all of this like potentially hazardous material. But there's a problem, which is there's so much of it, there is literally no place on the planet that hasn't been touched by it.
True.
So it's just basically like, well.
Anyway, my fellow Gorehounds, we're going to move on to the spoiler section soon. This movie is available on various VOD platforms. Just pick your poison. You're going to have to rent it, but trust me, if you're a Resident Evil fan, or if you just really don't like those Paul Anderson films, then this is the one you should definitely check out. This is way better. It's way better. And I'll say this. I will admit that probably part of my love of this movie is having lived through every single one of those other Resident Evil movies, and I did a marathon of them recently where I watched them all in a row just to see if they were better than I remember. They weren't.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
They're bad. Even the one I thought was kind of good, I rewatched it, I'm like, nope. Nope.
Well, it's like well, Resident Evil 2 is like the best of the worst. And
that one is the one that tries the most to be like one of the games.
Yeah, it tries to be Resident Evil 3, you know, which was okay.
Hey,
yes,
buddy.
Resident Kitty.
Hey, we're vlogging. Do you have stuff to say about those Paul Anderson films? I know they're really bad, aren't they?
Yeah, he's like there are no zombie cats in them, unlike Army of the Dead.
There is zombie dogs in this one, though.
There are zombie dogs and zombie crows,
which actually reminds me. If you are worried about animals dying in this, yeah, they do.
Yeah, animals die in this.
There's some dead dogs. There's some dead birds. Some of them come back from the dead. So
yeah. So if it's sort of like, well, they become zombies, so that's okay.
If that makes it okay, then
there you go.
Does the dog die and come back again?
Yeah.
.com. Yeah, that's a website I need.
Yeah, that should be part of that website. It's like it dies, but then comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
You know, like.
The Jesus clause.
Yeah.
And with that, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers.
right, if you played Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, the only real spoilers is what they decide to stick with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you know how a bunch of this shit goes. One, they don't do Tyrant or Nemesis in this one. Because all of those roles are taken up by the fucking scientist.
Yeah.
You know, who was the bad guy from Resident Evil.
They do have him turn into like a big fucking like monster, which I think was from one of the games.
Yeah, that was from 2.
That was from 2?
Yeah.
And what's really cool about that scene is they find its weakness by shooting out its eyes, which feels like totally a video game mechanic.
Oh, no, it totally was.
A video game mechanic.
It totally was, where it's like Jill's going like, shoot it in the eyes, blind it. And then like fucking Leon comes out with a rocket launcher, just blows.
Okay, I was willing to call bullshit at that moment, because Leon just comes out of fucking nowhere with a rocket launcher, and I was just like, wait, hold on. I know that's cool and all, but where the fuck did he get that? And then he actually explained it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? That's kind of like a lampshade you just threw on there, but I appreciate you at least going through the effort of doing that. Because if he just pulled it out of his ass, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, it's like, because you're like, it's already hard to believe that the guy would just have a rocket launcher. Mm-hmm. But the purpose of lampshading is it's even more unbelievable that no one would question it.
Yeah, exactly. Where did you get that? We've been operating with shotguns and pistols this entire time. Where the fuck did you get that?
Yeah. And then he's like, it was in the first class compartment. You know? Well, the thing is I thought that was okay, because that is how the original Resident Evil ends. Yeah. Which is, you're sitting there, you're fighting Tyrant, and then all of a sudden guy's like, hey, here's a rocket launcher. You're like, okay.
I mean, the thing is that some of the stuff that's like spoiler moments in the movie, I feel like if you played the games, they aren't.
Yeah.
Like okay, Wesker betrays them. I mean, that's how it goes in the game.
Yeah.
He betrays them. Claire finds her brother. I mean, that's the whole game's about.
Yeah, well, you know, they escape the police station. Mm-hmm. There's a G-virus, you know, all that kind of stuff. What was actually really cool, that's a bit of a spoiler, is actually watching the town of Raccoon City just be destroyed.
Oh god, that was great. That was,
you know, where you're just like, oh, that shit is gone.
Yeah, fucking implode that shit. Yeah. It's great.
There's no Raccoon City no more. It's just over.
I thought for a second we were going to have just a straight up Return of the Living Dead ending.
Yeah, it really looked like. Well, it kind of does, but it doesn't go that hard.
Well, it doesn't go that hard because they're still the survivors. By the
right.
Right.
You know, basically, it is supposed to be a fun, feel-good movie as opposed to a straight-up horror flick.
I'm glad that this movie had a lot of Claire, because I always liked Claire.
Well, yeah, she's the most interesting character.
But I was sad there wasn't... I like Claire better than Chris, and I like Leon better than Chris. So I didn't mind that Chris isn't in it as much as Claire and Leon is.
But Chris doesn't have as much character to
But I wanted more Jill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I felt like that's the thing. I'm saying this, but at the same time, I feel like everyone probably gets around the similar amount of screen time, except for Claire, because she's kind of like sent as the protagonist at the beginning of the story. She's the one we start with. But I think everyone probably gets the same amount of screen time. It's just so much is happening. It feels like they're not in the movie a lot.
Yeah, it's a good ensemble cast.
Yeah.
You know, like the one thing that you might be disappointed is there are characters that don't show up.
There's no Barry.
Yeah.
I thought for a second, dude in the orange outfit was Barry, but nah, he wasn't.
No, he's just random guy.
Rebecca's
not in it either.
I have read that there is talks of putting Barry in the second one, so we'll see.
And that'll work. Like, basically, any character that isn't necessary for the plot is ignored. You know? Like, for example, oh, god damn it. There is... No, the little girl from 2 is in this. She is the dude's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
she's in this. She's kind of revamped, but she's in this.
Yeah. But like, the big ones that are missing are Barry and Rebecca, and they're just not here at all. Which is fine, because I don't know what purpose they would have had in the plot.
Exactly. They had to condense a lot of stuff, and I thought they did it pretty well, because the good thing about condensing Resident Evil plots into a movie like this is that Resident Evil is 90% walking around and doing puzzles and like 10% story most of the time. Yeah.
So and fucking like 40% of that puzzle time is doing the puzzle again.
Yeah.
So
like most of the Resident Evil game times isn't actually story based.
Yeah. It's literally just, all right, run back to the other end of the house, pick up the thing, get the thing, open the chest, get the key, open the thing, get the puzzle piece, put the puzzle pieces, turn it on, then fucking go inside finally. Good God.
So like it didn't take much to condense it into like a one movie that condenses two games basically.
Yeah, because it helps to not have to fucking solve a puzzle to open a front door.
I did love that they included like cutscenes that I don't know if they were in those games, but I remember them being in games. Like I remember one of the Resident Evil games having a helicopter crash at one point like that.
Yeah, well, the helicopter, I forget which one it was.
I remember one of them has that where it's like you can see the lights and then there's like a crash or something like that. And so like seeing it in this movie, I was just like, okay, I don't remember which game had this, but I remember something like this.
Yeah.
And here's the thing,
it's a great moment.
And if it's a false memory and nothing like that ever happened in the games, then good job creating something that made me think it was in the game.
It totally felt like it. It totally felt like a thing that would have happened. I think it was Resident Evil 3 that happened.
Might have been, yeah.
A
lot of wild shit happens in 3.
Yeah. It's this is a really good game if you're a fan of the Resident Evil video game series.
I also love the fan service throughout, like especially like the end credits, Wesker putting on his glasses and Ada Wong showing herself.
Yeah. The other thing that's kind of neat is you watch this and you're like, yeah, we could, if we go in this direction, we could actually just do like Resident Evil 4.
I just hope that
Resident Evil Biohazard and shit.
I just hope that the pandemic hasn't killed the movie's chances of getting a sequel, because I want them to make more movies like this.
Oh yeah,
we got like however many movies in those Paul Anderson films, and they were all garbage.
Yeah. Well, there's 6 of them, aren't there?
Yeah, God. It's like 6 or 7, and it's just they're all garbage. They have very little redeeming value. Even the action is boring because you don't care.
Yeah, because you're just sort of like, all right, well, what's going to happen now? All right, now there's just a million billion Alices.
Like, the action in this movie wasn't as, like, high budget as those movies.
No.
It wasn't as, like, big and bombastic. But I cared about the characters, so the action meant more to me.
Well, it was also a little more grounded.
Yes, it was way more grounded.
It didn't all of a sudden turn to Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
Where you're just sort of like, I don't mind Aeon Flux, but this is supposed to be Resident Evil?
Yeah.
And then they made the Aeon Flux movie? And then that sucked?
Yeah.
It was very sad. Very sad.
Anyway, my fellow Gorehounds, I don't really have anything more to say. It's a fun movie. It's not going to be the greatest movie you ever seen. It's not going to be the best action movie you saw of the year, but it is a fun movie. I liked it.
Oh yeah, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thumb up.
And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
You can find me at my little corner of twitch.tv/Count_Jackula. You can follow me there, where I stream at least twice a week, every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you want to know the other times that I stream, you should follow me on Twitter at Counting Jack. And if you just want to see what I basically shitpost, that would be Instagram at Satanic Jackula. And I look forward to seeing you at all 3 of those places. How about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, then be sure to check out my Patreon page and Jack's Patreon page. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And, itchy tasty?
Ooh, itchy tasty.
Okay, if you made it this far into the vlog, then I want you to comment below. And be sure to comment below using the hashtag #ItchyTasty. That way I know, that way Jack knows, that way the world knows you watched this vlog all the way through. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, we actually got a Shudder original we're going to vlog next. And not to spoil anything, but it kind of feels like a knockoff. The knockoff Resident Evil movie, not called Resident Evil. So,
oh boy. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that next, and we'll see you then.